One of the biggest causes of conflict in any relationship, especially a marriage, is finances. Let's talk about that.
Conflict Mediation and You is sponsored by the Center for Dispute Solutions.
Welcome to Conflict Mediation and You. I'm Rick.
And I'm Robert.
Hi. Today we want to talk about money.
Oh,
You're not paying me enough for this work.
there isn't enough to be paid for what I have to go through. So,
Well, you've all heard the old joke, right? The number one cause of divorce in the United States. You've heard that one, right? Number one cause for divorce in the United States is marriage. Well, actually, one of the big causes of divorce happens to be money. Money is a huge source of conflict in relationships.
now I don't buy into that.
Which part? The marriage
That
part?
money, that money is the cause.
Okay.
It's not that money is the cause of it. It's the lack of money.
Ah.
Okay.
So if we had enough money, we wouldn't be fighting?
It would be a different kind of a fight.
Okay. I could buy into that. So if the lack of money is a huge cause of conflict, why do you suppose that is?
Well, it's usually many times, you mentioned divorce cases. It's that there isn't enough money to do the things that each party wants to do, and not enough money for them to do jointly the things that they want to do. And that seems to be the biggest, one of the biggest concerns that the parties will have. So.
Well, and not that I have any experience with this whatsoever, but oftentimes there's more month than there is money, and money tends to run out before all the bills get paid. And now you're worried. Well, some people are worried about the lights going out, foreclosure on homes, and we just went through some economic difficulties where a lot of people did.
Mm-hmm.
They lost retirement, they lost their homes, they lost jobs.
One of the things that's coming up for me around this is, we are mediators, and we do mediations, divorce mediations, civil mediations, and other types of mediations. But the one issue that comes up most of the time, I'm going to go out on a limb and say 85% or better of the time, the one thing that comes up as the cause for the conflict is money. And sometimes it's because it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there is enough, but it's being misused.
Right.
Okay, and that one seems a little rare, but occasionally it does come up, is that the money, there's enough money, but it's not being used properly. So I'm thinking that what we're going to talk about is how to use money, finances, in a more positive, constructive way. Is that where we're going with this?
Well, and it's interesting that you put it that way, because if we actually frame it that way, then you're asking to talk about how to manage money and know how money works and effectively deal with it in our lives.
Right.
And I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer any of those questions.
Well, if we look at qualifications, then probably neither one of us is qualified to do that. But we do have tools that we can share and that we use to help individuals to manage their finances.
Yeah.
And notice that I'm saying finances is not money, because there is a difference there.
Yeah.
I can have $1 million, but if I don't know how to manage it, it can be worthless to me.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we have plenty of documentation of people who have had large sums of money one day and in debt for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, it's not how much money you make. It's how much money you keep that makes
Okay.
the difference. There are, as you say, people who are making $250,000 a year, but their debt is $300,000 a year. I mean, I don't know. We just tend to spend to our maximum amount, and then we end up in trouble.
Yeah, and it happens. It can happen slowly. If you're working for $100 a week and your expenses are $90 a week, then theoretically you have $10 to play with. So you do that. Then you get a raise up to $110 a week, and your expenses go up to $105.
I've got more to spend. I can have more
No,
good things.
I said your expenses go up to 105. So now you're spending more,
Yeah.
but now what you have to play with is not 10, it's 5.
Yeah.
So if you keep going in that direction, eventually the play with money becomes a negative.
And there's a lot of that going around. It seems like full financial education seems to be a problem.
Well, it's something that isn't taught in any of the schools that I'm aware of. I don't remember ever having a course in the high school or college or any place that talked about financial management, money management, or anything like that. Nobody did it. How to balance a checkbook.
Yeah, yeah. If I have enough checks in the checkbook, there must be money there, right?
That's been my theory. Yeah.
So,
In fact, right now I have that many new checks.
you're rich. You're buying for dinner.
Yeah, but what's backing those checks is not there. So
Yeah. So having some idea of how much we spend and being able to manage it and keep it under control. But when we don't, there's conflict in families. We're at a stage in our culture where we have two-income families. You would think we could make enough money to manage it, but even with two-income families, we're having trouble keeping up. And then the stress of two jobs, right? 8 hours each or 10 hours
Yeah.
each. And then you don't never see each other. One of the things, this is a little pet peeve of mine. It's I love my wife, but I hate marriage. You know, as soon as we got married, I never saw her again. We were both out making money. We were paying for the house. We were paying for the car. You know, when we weren't married, we saw a lot of each other. We spent a great deal of time together. But now all of a sudden we have all of these responsibilities, and then can't see each other, the stress, and then it seems like the dollar isn't being able to stretch as far as it used to. At least I haven't been able to stretch it very, very. I keep going back to Peter to pay Paul, and Peter's out of money.
So what's a possible solution to that?
Well, we have to get educated. And first of all, recognize that if this is happening in your household, then we need to get some help. Talk to somebody. And of course, we're going to recommend the Center for Dispute Solutions. We have many solutions to many of the disputes that are wrapped up in our lives. And finances is a huge stressor in everyone's lives. So we have resources available to match that. I'm going to go ahead and give them our phone number now.
Yeah, that we'll do that a few times because they might really want to.
And we don't want them to miss it because
Right.
this is a huge issue, money and family and stress. So our phone number, 404-991-0072. Give us a call. We've got some programs and projects that could help.
Now you're using the word money, and I'm thinking that it might be more beneficial or useful to our audience if they hear finance
Okay, say more.
instead of money.
Why?
Because, I mean, the money is just a piece of the problem. That's all the other things that go around. How do you keep more of what it is that you're earning.
Right.
How do you manage what you're earning? So it's a bigger picture than just the dollar, right? What do we do with that dollar? We know that in most financial courses, if you will, it says the first person that you should pay is yourself.
Right.
All
It's a
right.
very good principle.
So if you do that and you're able to discipline yourself to do that consistently, then at some point, then you're going to have what it is that you might be looking for.
Right.
Okay, and I say might because each person is going to have something different that they're looking for, or that they're after, that they're chasing, whatever that dream might be, whether it's a huge vacation, a trip around the world, or just house paid off, those sort of things. So will the training, and I know the answer to this, but the training that we're offering at the center, then this training will address all of those issues.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge fundamental principle of paying yourself first, and we often don't think about that. We make ourselves last, and then as a result, we end up with nothing. So there's actually ahead of Peter and ahead of Paul is you. You need to pay you first. And that can be a struggle at first. And then, of course, we've all heard the issue of, make a budget and find. You'll be surprised how much money you're spending and where that money's going. If you tracked in a week where every penny went, you'd be surprised. I mean, there sodas, snacks, right? Going and buying extra food, or there's just so many different ways. Candy on the way home, that it just poof disappears.
It adds up.
Yeah, and we're not even paying attention to it.
Which reminds me of a story that I heard from a fellow several years ago now, many years ago now. But he and his wife were smokers, and they were forced into taking a look at where their money was going, because during the recent recession, incomes had been reduced, and other things have been added, expenses added. So they were tracking what they were spending. And I couldn't believe when he told me they were spending almost $200 a month.
A month?
On cigarettes.
Wow.
And just doing that little exercise, they both stopped smoking.
Really? Based on that alone?
Based on that alone.
But they didn't know that before they started tracking.
Never paid any attention to it.
Yeah, see, we don't pay attention to our finances, and so consequently, why should we be surprised if we're not in financial health? So we've got to have some strategies for doing that. We've given a couple. One, you got to track your expenses. Where is everything going so you know? Second, make sure when money comes in for your salary or whatever it is, pay yourself first. We recommend knocking off a little bit, even if it's only 2%, 5%, 10%. Pay something to yourself first. It becomes a fundamental principle and eventually becomes a habit. But there's some other things we could also talk about. Speaking of, would it be finance or money if we're talking about sponsors?
Well, it could be both.
Okay.
Because they are going to put out some money to help us finance what it is that we want to do.
So we should give them some time.
Perhaps we should let them talk.
Well, and we are grateful to our sponsors. Let's have a few minutes with them.
How does your small business stay top of mind with customers? From deals that bring them in with an offer, to social media promotions that turn fans into customers, to events that engage and create buzz, to emails that keep loyal customers coming back. Our easy-to-use tools will keep you in front of your customers.
Visita provides a complete business calendar, fully integrated with your client scheduling experience. You can view and manage your daily schedule and any upcoming meetings, and most importantly, schedule new appointments and follow-ups with your clients. Using Visita Calendar for client scheduling will save you time and deliver a better service to your clients. Visita Calendar automatically syncs with your existing calendar on Google, Outlook, iPhone, and more.
Welcome back. Thanks to our sponsors. Another incredible principle is we want to, this one's kind of self-explanatory, but we want to get to the point where we are spending less than we earn.
And isn't that where most of us think we are? No.
Well, if you don't know where it's going and you haven't even tracked it, how do you know if you were spending less?
Well, if I'm not doing a very good job of tracking,
Right.
okay, I haven't really done a budget, a honest budget. I put down the mortgage, I put down the car payment, I put down the IRS. In fact, the IRS goes up the top.
There's our plug for the government.
Yeah. So we put down all of those things, but I leave out a few just minor things, like food.
Right.
It's really surprising how many people will do a budget or think they're doing a budget, and when you go over it, a little item like food is left off.
Uh-huh.
And you say, well, how much do you spend on groceries a month? I don't know. How much does it cost you a day to eat? I don't know. How much do you spend on lunch? I don't know. So if we just take lunch,
Yes.
which is interesting in and of itself, because many times we spend more on lunch than we really think that we're spending.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we get together with coworkers and we go out for lunch, and someone is having whatever, and it costs $8.
Right.
So we figure $8 isn't that much. But we do $8 4 or 5 times a week.
Yes.
That's an average of roughly $40 a week.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that 4 times a month. So that's $160.
Yep.
Then we do a food budget, and the only thing that we do is what we're spending at the grocery store on dinner.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't included the $160. That's lunch. We don't need to worry about that. So and I'm not going to go through that whole scenario with that, but in the training that we offer, it's one of the basic things we teach is how to do a very realistic budget.
Yep.
One where you can get a clear picture of what it is that's coming in, what's going out, where it's going, and you're being able to control your finances better than you have in the past.
And I don't know about you, but when I did this, it was not a pretty picture. I mean, actually being honest and blunt about it. I mean, there was some revelation. Oh, that's why we're in trouble. But it was not a pleasant revelation.
Well, part of that not being pleasant is the fact that what you find out that where the money is going is on stuff that is giving you pleasure.
Right.
So the thought of not spending the money there, don't want to think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's much more conscious about what's coming in, what's going out. And another big mistake, we did this. I don't know if you did or other people out there do this, and that's we start to work our financial plans around if come. Right? Well, it's coming. I know it's coming. It's in the mail. And then we spend it knowing that it's coming, and then it doesn't come.
If come.
If come.
If come. Oh, God, how many years have I lived off of if come?
Uh-huh.
No. Yeah. In fact, there's some if come I'm waiting for now. So,
Yes, and if it comes in,
and if it comes
you're going
in,
to lunch.
I'm going to lunch. So.
Yes.
Yeah, that one, we laugh about it, but that's many times. Many individuals will say, well, I have this coming, I have that coming, if this happens,
Right.
if that happens. So,
Right.
you know.
There's a contract coming. There's a bonus coming. There's a and that can really screw things up,
Yeah.
especially if you spend it before it comes. That becomes you're spending money more than you're making, literally. So you can't count if come. That's cheating.
Well, that blows a hole in that thought. So,
Well-
what else do we have coming up in the training?
Well, and the
package
other
now?
thing we want to, it's not just about making a budget, because oftentimes what we'll hear in terms of, we've got to get a hold of our finances is some sort of austerity measure, right? We got to sacrifice, we've got to eat macaroni and cheese or ketchup and hot water or something, just for tomato soup. And that's what people immediately think of is this, we're going to have to sacrifice and pull back. Getting a hold of your finances isn't just that. One of the components that I learned that was just incredibly fascinating to me is that we want to work on your dreams. We want to work on your goals. It's one time I was asked this question: list your priorities. What's the most important thing in your, if you were to give me 3 or 4 top priorities, what would be your most important priority in your life? Number 1.
Right off the top of my head,
Top.
first thing that comes up for me is financial freedom.
Okay. That's
Okay.
Why? Why would that be?
Well, it would allow me to do many of the things that I want to do. I mean,
Yeah.
you said, there's a dream out there, and maybe that dream might be traveling around the world. So if I had the financial freedom, I could be able to do that.
And you're not going to be financially free just by not going to lunch anymore.
It might be a small part of it.
Yeah. It's a larger, get pieces in place together.
But it would have to be part of a larger scheme of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. See, when this question was asked to me, it was like, okay, families first, right? I want to spend time with my kids are first, and then my community or my faith is important. My wife is important, right? These are the things that are the most important thing in my life. And then if you were even to ask me, well, where would money fall on that list, right? Now, not finance, money. Where would you put money in terms of your priority? It'd be very low, maybe 10, number 15. But then the exercise goes the next step. They asked me to pull out my calendar. What are you doing this week? Where is all of your time being spent? And what it turned out, looking at it, is most of the time I spend in a 40-hour week is chasing a dollar. Chasing money, trying to make enough money to make ends meet. So I'm not even getting the chance to live my priorities. But if I realized a chance, and my goal was to literally live my priorities, which is what you said, if I had the financial freedom, see, wanting to be with my family becomes the goal. I set a budget because I want that thing that's most important to me. Mm-hmm. And if we don't spend some time figuring out what we want out of life, then we end up someone else's asset. We end up putting all of our energy into serving someone else's dream or someone else's priority. So it's not just about a budget, and it's not just about austerity, sacrificing and scrimping. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about figuring out a structured plan to literally get what it is that is most important to you. And that financial freedom would give you everything. If you were financially free and could spend your time any way you wanted, how would you spend it?
One of the ways that I might spend it is that we would be doing this this show from a beach. The backdrop could be, the ocean.
Waves.
Yeah.
Yes. And the lights would be this. We'd have to put shades up to block the lighting.
Yeah. Yeah, there are many things that become part of that financial freedom piece,
Right.
things that fall under that. And for me, traveling would be top of the list. The other things you mentioned, they would be on the list, but traveling would be there.
Is this beach in the United States or out of the United States?
No, it's a secluded beach where I wouldn't have to bother with people.
Ooh. except for the people necessary to run the show, right?
Well, yeah, they're necessary, but sometimes they can, well, anyway, we don't want the
We'll
show
let
to
them
get
tag
to-
along.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
No, there are many things that I want to do, many things that most individuals want to do, and if those things could be, as you said, listed out and put in priority, and it's not a what is it called, a bucket list?
Right.
It's not a bucket list, nothing like that, but it's this is my life list. Yeah.
I like that. A life list.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did they ever call it a bucket list? Right. Yeah. A life list.
Well,
I like that.
I think the term came from the expression of kicking the bucket.
Oh, that's rather sad. So if we talked about what we could talk about what financial freedom can give you, and what we mean by financial freedom is not just money. Financial freedom is, and I would even go so far as being financially fit. It's that not only do you have enough money to pay your bills and live your life, but also you have the time. Because
Yeah.
so many of us are caught in the trap between one or the other. I've got plenty of time because I'm not working, but I have no money because I'm not working. Or I've got plenty of money, but I've got no time to enjoy my life.
So there has to be a balance
It
there.
has to be both.
Okay.
See, those are the things that we're looking at and we're looking for. So we're way beyond the issue of just setting up a budget. There's many things that we reorganize, we stress, the opportunity to live the lives that we really want to, that's important to us, our priority. Some have even suggested the opportunity to live your purpose.
Well, that's could be a whole nother topic of discussion, because how many of us know what our purpose is?
Right. Well, you had a chance to. I'm never going to find out if I'm spending all my time working.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something's got to be done different. Now, if you're in a situation, or know of someone who's in a situation where, it might not just be flat out fighting in the family, but just the stress that is constantly on the household. And that is going to damage relationship. That is going to damage communication. Consider a financial education program. And if not ours, at least someone's, in order to get you on track. Because the people you love the most and you want to spend the most time with should not be the people you end up fighting over just because of money or or finances. So give us a call. We'd be glad to give you more information about our financial education programs. Again, Center for Dispute Solutions, 404-991-0072. I look forward to talking to you.